But what if I told you that there's a different way where healing didn't have to feel hard or didn't have to feel like work, and it could be this gentle unfolding and unraveling back into your most authentic self and blueprint, right? That's the beauty about working with psychedelics, because they gently invite us back home. They gently begin to dismantle and melt away all these ways that we self-protect and that we hide and that we repress our pain, our truth, our trauma, our desires, right? The coolest thing about working with this medicine in a therapeutic setting is its ability to heighten neuroplasticity in the brain. That is literally why so many people who struggle with severe anxiety, depression, PTSD, addiction, seek out psychedelics, because it's not like putting band-aids on a bullet hole. It's not just trying to numb or cover up the symptoms. It's really about getting to the root. All right, you guys, welcome back to the Shadow Priestess Embodied Podcast. Whew, I feel like it's been a minute. It really has been a while since I've had time and just the spaciousness to drop in and go deep with all of you. And truthfully, really since around August of last year, I've been going through another initiation, a complete rebrand and rebirth, not only of myself on a personal level, but really in the work I do and how I'm going to serve the collective. So today we're going to dive into that. I have so much I want to share with you. I'm going to try my best to stay on track. But really at the heart of today's conversation, we're going to really be diving into the world of psychedelics and really pertaining to how to use them in a therapeutic setting for your transformation, for your healing, to unlock, your spiritual gifts, your soul awakening, and so much more. And to be fully transparent, I can feel a little bit of resistance. And the resistance really is stemming from this dogma and our conditioning around psychedelics. And I think for me personally, this is why I haven't been as forward-facing about this part of my path, and why this is something over the last decade that kind of was like hush-hush and that I really did behind closed doors. And since August of last year, I really got the opportunity to start facilitating and holding space for people as they utilize psychedelics for healing, for transformation, and for awakening. And not only have what I've witnessed been so profound, it's really unlocked something deeper inside of myself, a deeper pull, a deeper calling, that it got to this point where I knew that it was time to move, that this is where I was meant to be moving with my line of work, with my clients, and even with myself. And, truthfully, I've done a lot of work with plant medicine. That's really kind of what opened the doorway for me to even really be open to exploring other avenues of psychedelics. And, the universe is beautiful and serendipitous. And I was presented an opportunity last August to start working with a company and facilitating psychedelic therapy through the use of ketamine. And we would be using ketamine at home and microdosing in a safe therapeutic setting. And the rapid release that I've witnessed, the lasting transformation and healing that I've witnessed, was enough for me to completely rethink and reimagine what I really wanted my business to look like. And I just want to really speak in today to what working with psychedelics in a therapeutic setting can really unlock and unveil in your own life. And for me, I want to share a little bit of a personal story. I have had quite the journey over the last decade. I have worked with some of the most incredible healers teachers, shamans, high priestesses, trauma and somatic experts, you name it. I have probably walked down the road with some of the best of the best. And I am so deeply grateful for that period of my life because I've learned so much. I got opened up to different communities and clients and just absolutely incredible people, soul sisters that I know I never would have had the opportunity to be in the room with unless I was a student. And the flip side of that is, when we work with such incredible teachers, it's easy to forget that you're also incredible. And it's easy to start taking on their ideas and their philosophies and honestly just their whole paradigms and perspectives. And really looking at their lives and their blueprint and thinking, oh my gosh, I want to be this too. And I honestly am very guilty of this. I started to notice I had this shadow that I wasn't enough. I was constantly comparing myself to my teachers or my mentors and thinking that I should speak more like them or my offers should look similar to what they're offering. And, I should move away from being a spiritual teacher to being a business coach. And maybe now I shouldn't be a business coach and I should go all into trauma. And, you can kind of see the looping pattern that this was on. And not to say that each of them didn't awaken something so beautiful in me and really bring me closer into my own authenticity, but there was still something missing. And when I got the call to start working with psychedelics again and start facilitating psychedelic therapy in at-home treatments with ketamine, I also took this path and did it for myself. And one of the biggest gifts that these past several months have given me was the permission to be myself. And I'm someone who would have told you that, I was doing that, right? I felt like I was very forward facing. I was visible. I was open. I was vulnerable. I would have told you that I was being authentic. And that's the hard part about this work is that the subconscious is sneaky and our patterns are sneaky and we don't realize how much of our own identity is based off of our program and conditioning. It's based off of what we see out in the world and us trying to morph and shapeshift and be that because we believe that will give us success or that will give us visibility or fulfillment or love or acceptance and insert blank. But I would be lying to you if I said that something didn't constantly feel like it was missing. There was always a piece of the puzzle missing. And when I look back at my journey before I really started working with psychedelics so intimately again, a big part of my life was being a spiritual healer. It was being the medicine woman. I'm trained in multiple different healing modalities, from Reiki to Holy Fire to quantum healing. I do oracle work, mediumship, and I abandoned so much of that when I started working with these other teachers because I felt like that part of me wasn't enough and I needed to be something different, right? And I'm sure so many of you can relate to feeling like your own unique essence, expression, gifts aren't enough, right? And when I was actually sitting in meditation the other day, I had this quote come to mind, and it was the quote that if the road that you're on is paved, then you're probably on someone else's path. And that really stuck with me. If the road that you're on is paved, then you're probably on someone else's path. And that there truly isn't one path to our enlightenment, to our awakening, to our coming home. And if you really are here to be a thought leader, to be a trailblazer, to be a conscious leader, then your road is never going to be paved and it's never going to be familiar and it's not going to be somewhere that someone else has walked. And through working intimately with psychedelics again, I felt like for the first time in probably the last 5 or 6 years, that I really started to come back home into my voice and my truth and my power and my own perspective on things instead of believing that I needed to mirror or shadow what my mentors or what my teachers were doing. And I'm not sitting here saying that they're wrong and I'm right. I don't believe that. I just believe that there's power when you truly own your oracular channel, when you own your voice, when you own your truth, and when you really come back home into that and allowing yourself to fully be that and show up in that so unapologetically in the world. And for me, that's where I found my power. That's where I found my fulfillment. That's where I found my joy again, because I found my voice. Okay. And working so intimately with now thousands of clients in these settings, I will say that the common thread that I see is almost like this homecoming, right? Where it's like we start to begin to disconnect and even disassociate from all of the outside noise and all of the conditioning and all of the things that we were taught that we had to be or that we should be, and really beginning to hear our own inner compass, right? Really allowing the language of the body and the language of the soul to come online and to be expressed and to be emanated. And the beautiful thing about working with this type of medicine is that it's not like traditional talk therapy where we have to revisit, the same story and the looping patterns over and over and over again. And I'm not trying to sit here and put that down or say that there isn't a time and a place for that and that can't be powerful and profound, because it can. But what if I told you that there's a different way where healing didn't have to feel hard or didn't have to feel like work, and it could be this gentle unfolding and unraveling back into your most authentic self and blueprint, right? That's the beauty about working with psychedelics, because they gently invite us back home. They gently begin to dismantle and melt away all these ways that we self-protect and that we hide and that we repress our pain, our truth, our trauma, our desires, right? The coolest thing about working with this medicine in a therapeutic setting is its ability to heighten neuroplasticity in the brain. That is literally why so many people who struggle with severe anxiety, depression, PTSD, addiction seek out psychedelics, because it's not like putting band-aids on a bullet hole. It's not just trying to numb or cover up the symptoms. It's really about getting to the root. Okay? And how this begins to work is that, during your sessions and for 3 to 5 days post-session, you have a heightened sense of neuroplasticity in the brain. And when we're speaking about neuroplasticity, what we're really speaking into is our brain's ability to create new neural pathways and new neural connections. So without doing a lot of work or without a lot of conscious effort, you just notice that you start to think differently and you start to feel differently and you start to move differently, you respond differently, you behave differently. And it's a very gentle, subtle thing, so that we start getting this rapid, instant relief, but it does it in a way that is so safe to the body and the nervous system that it creates lasting transformation and healing in our lives. We use ketamine or any psychedelics in a sacred setting so that it is a tool to help empower, awaken, and transform you, but not so that you become dependent on another drug and feel like you have to do this for the rest of your life. Okay? I have some clients that come, they do 6 sessions, they do 10 sessions, and are forever changed. And I can literally sit here and say that to you so confidently, because I walk this path every day with people. They get lasting change that they never thought in their life would be possible. They begin to touch parts of their minds, of their hearts, of their souls, of their body, of their pleasure, of their desire, that they never thought was possible again. I can remember having a call with a woman, and after one session, her saying that she's never felt such a deep sense of peace and clarity and connection to God. And that was after years of being on antidepressants and suicidal and not even feeling like she had the desire to go on. I have some people that come and, they do this for a little bit longer period of time. Sometimes 10 sessions looks more like 20 sessions. And when you combine this type of sacred medicine with a safe container where you receive high touch and high level support, what is on the other side for you is something that you've never been able to experience before. You're going to meet yourselves in these depths and new perspectives and ways and sensations that you didn't even feel like you could touch. And it's beautiful and it's powerful and it's raw. And getting to walk side by side with you while you start to come home to yourself and release the stories and the programs and the conditionings and the traumas of your past is something that I don't take lightheartedly. I know 100% in my life that, or for the first time in a very long time, that I am exactly where I'm meant to be. And this is exactly the type of work that I'm supposed to be doing. And I have never felt so lit up and fulfilled and satiated all simultaneously at the same time. I leave these calls with these people with the deepest reverence and gratitude and respect for the people who are willing to say yes, for the people who are willing to do the hard work, for the people who are actually willing to go into the depths of their heart and of their souls and finally say that I'm ready to be free. If I could tell you what this medicine has given me, it would be freedom. Freedom to be myself, freedom to use my voice, freedom to follow my own path, freedom to let go of my family's conditioning and structures and beliefs about life and what's possible for me. And I feel like for the first time in a long time, I feel a sense of clarity and peace and rootedness. And it's 100% on my own path. It's 100% rooted in the truth of who I am. It's rooted in service. It's rooted in impact. It's rooted in love. And getting to show up and share this work and guide so many other people through the same portal of transformation has literally been life-changing for me. And that's why, honestly, I've been so absent for the last several months, because I've been so deep in this journey, not only on a personal level, but facilitating it for thousands of others, that's what felt the most alive for me to do. And sitting in ceremony the other day, the medicine was showing me that it's not so much about me anymore. It's about the collective, and it's about normalizing this and making this more accessible and grounded for other people, because it's not a spiritual thing. You don't have to be a spiritual person to utilize the medicine, right? If you're someone who feels stuck, if you feel hopeless, if you feel like you have anxiety that's debilitating, if you have depression that won't break, if you have trauma and PTSD that keep you up at night and you feel like, you don't know which way to go, my question for you is, what do you really have to lose? If you feel like you've tried everything and nothing has worked for you, what do you have to lose, right? So many people fear the medicine out of fear of losing control or becoming dependent, or even just all the dogma that it's a drug and that, we shouldn't use psychedelics for this, so on and so forth. What do you have to lose by trying this? Minus your pain, your suffering, your stories, right? The current prison that you've created that you call reality. That's what you have to lose. That's what's on the other side for you. And I get why you can be weary of it. And I can get why you would be hesitant, right? Until I experienced what this medicine could do for me, I would have told you it's just like anything else and that it's all the same. But until you allow yourself to fully experience this on an experiential level and to really give yourself the permission to fully heal, not to numb, not to suppress, not to just keep a symptom at bay, but to truly heal. You will never know what you're missing by not saying yes. And if you have a pulling, a curiosity, just 1 ounce, 1% part of you that is saying yes, that maybe there's something here for me, I invite you to reach out, book a call with me. It's completely free, okay? I will go deep into what the protocol looks like with you, what the transformation looks like for you, what the program, what the support, whatever you need to make an aligned decision if working with psychedelics and an assisted coaching relationship is aligned for you, I will do that, And the beautiful thing about it for me is that the door is open. If you're choosing to say yes, if you're ready to experience something different, the door is open and there's no pressure, because for me, there's nothing to prove, right? There's nothing to prove, there's nothing to convince, but simply an invitation of what's possible for you on the other side. And for the thousands of people that I've walked with, would tell you to say yes. And I'm telling you, for someone who has facilitated this, who have utilized this in my own healing and personal development, awakening, just say yes, right? Follow that pulling in your soul. Follow that curiosity, because if you're like me, who feels like you have done all the things and was starting to feel hopeless and that this is all that was available to you, I promise you there's so much more for you on the other side. And all it takes is your decision to do so. Love you.